सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांति। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये। वासुदेवेन्द्रयोगीन्द्रम् नत्वा ज्ञानप्रदं गुरुम् मोक्षूणां हितार्थाय तत्त्वबोधो विधीयते। Page 41. We read the first line. ब्रह्मैवाहमस्मि इति अपरोक्षज्ञानेन निखिलकर्म बंध विनिर्मुक्ति स्यात्। ब्रह्मैव अहमस्मि इति अपरोक्ष ज्ञानेन। Yesterday we discussed the pratyaksh jnanam, paroksha jnanam, aparoksha jnanam. Jnanam or knowledge is compatible to or consistent with the object of knowledge. So those objects which are before my organs of perception, that is called perceptive knowledge or pratyaksham. Those objects which are away from the sense organs, that is called paroksham, indirect knowledge. And my very self, which is neither in front of me, so cannot be object of pratyaksha jnanam, not away from me, cannot be object of paroksha jnanam. So this knowledge is called aparoksha jnanam, immediate knowledge. By knowing Brahmaivahamasmi, that I am Brahman, by that knowledge, Nikhila karma bandha vinirmukta syat, there is a total cessation of all the bondage of karma. Yesterday we discussed about karma. The important entity in karma or action is the one who performs karma. So, karta or the agent of action. Like the one who presently is performing the act of speaking is called a speaker. Speaker is the agent of act of speaking. You are listeners, so listener is the agent of the act of listening. The agent is called karta. The rule is that one who is karta or performer of action becomes bhokta, becomes the experiencer of the result of the action. This is a simple rule. When this rule is there, then as we said yesterday, there is fairness. That I experience the result of actions that I have performed. Good, bad or indifferent. That's how a clean account is maintained. And that's how there is harmony, order and fairness. Now Vedanta addresses this. There are others who give different ways of how to become free from karma. But Vedanta addresses the very entity or the person who performs karma, who gets bound by karma. I, who gets bound by karma, the karta becomes bhokta. In reality, who am I? Am I the performer of the karma? Does I perform the karma? Last night we already discussed this. Yes, or also in simple ways, Lord Krishna says, Prakrutehe kriyamanani gunehi karmani sarvasah ahankar vimudha kartaham iti manyate. All the actions in every way are performed by the modifications of Prakriti or modifications of matter. This Prakriti or matter undergoes transformation, modification or transformation and becomes this gross body as well as subtle body. So this physical body, the organs of perception, organs of action, the prana as the mind. So organs we studied in Tattvabodha itself, that 5 organs of perception, 5 organs of action, 5 pranas or vital air, the mind and the intellect. These 17 entities make up the subtle body, which is supposedly within the gross body. The subtle body first becomes enlivened by consciousness, and that in turn enlivens the gross body. Like in case of the fan, the motor first gets energized by electricity and then energizes the blades. So we discussed yesterday, Bhagavad Gita says in more than one places, just as in case of the fan, the rotation belongs to motor and the blades which are connected to motor, they also turn. Whereas this rotation of the fan cannot take place without electricity. However, electricity has no role in performing the act of rotation. Electricity just is. It is in presence of electricity that the fan rotates. It is in presence of electricity that the bulb glows. It is in electricity that whole factories and the whole thing runs. Electricity just is. Similarly also, consciousness is. The presence of consciousness enlivens our subtle body and through that enlivens the gross body. Meaning that our mind, intellect by themselves also unconscious entities. They get enlivened by the consciousness, presence of consciousness. Just as to rotate is the nature of the fan and not of electricity, So also karma, action. Action requires movement. Action requires movement in time, movement in space, movement in the states. This is movement in space. Movement in time is when the young man becomes an old man, and changes in state is when the poor becomes wealthy. All these changes call for karma of one kind or the other. So karma or action invariably involves movement, change, transformation. And all this change is potentially there in the matter, in the body, in the gross body, subtle body. Meaning in the organs of perception, organs of action, prana, mind, intellect. So these are the potential of change or movement. Therefore, action primarily belongs to the subtle body and the gross body. We explained it earlier that going back to the example of a fan, the outer blades and the casing is comparable to the gross body that we can see. There is a motor within that which is like the subtle body of the fan. And electricity is like the Atma of the fan, consciousness. If you remove the motor from the fan is dead. The electrician with the fan is dead. Because it won't rotate. So also when this subtle body departs from this gross body, this body becomes dead or lifeless. Because that which was responsible for the life of this body, that subtle body is departed. It's called Jivatma. Anyway, the point here is that action in any way is possible only at the level of gross body and subtle body. The movement is here, change is here, transformation is here. As far as Atma is concerned, consciousness is concerned, it is comparable to electricity, which just is. Similarly also, consciousness is changeless, motionless, free from modification, and therefore there is no potential action in consciousness. What you require for action to take place is change, modification. Consciousness is changeless, free from modification, therefore there cannot be action in consciousness in Atma. Actions are there, all right. It's a very strange thing that by itself the fan cannot run. By itself electricity also does not run. It's a unique combination of electricity and fan that creates this turning of the fan. So also by itself, consciousness does not perform action, it just is, it is changeless. By itself, the body-mind sense complex also cannot do anything because it is unconscious, insentient. It is in the presence of consciousness that this becomes enlivened and the action is performed. Now, who am I? Am I this body, the gross body, the subtle body, or consciousness? Who am I? This one thing is certain, that I am a conscious being, not an unconscious being. That much is clear. What is the nature of the conscious being? Answer is, consciousness is the nature of the conscious being. Just as if there is an ember, fire is the nature of that ember. The spark, fire is the nature of the spark. And so also consciousness is the nature of myself. Therefore, by virtue of the fact that I am consciousness, there can be no movement, no change, no action in me, meaning that Atma cannot perform action. Actions get performed in presence of I, presence of Atma. Ahankara vimudhatma kartahamit manyate. Lord Krishna says, Ahankara vimudhatma, because of identification with what I am not, because of identification of mind or intellect, sense organs, body, I take upon myself the actions performed by this equipment, this upadhi, and believe that I am performing action. Right now, I believe that I am speaking. Or you may believe that you are hearing. So that's what it is. Well, so what is you? If you is consciousness, hearing cannot be in consciousness. Speaking cannot be in consciousness. The act of speaking takes place in the presence of the self, presence of consciousness. This is a reality. If you trace who performs action, you find nobody. Atma is consciousness, changeless, cannot perform action. Anatma, non-self, is unconscious, therefore cannot perform the action. And still, actions are being performed by Anatma in presence of Atma. Unfortunately, we are born with the habit of taking the body to be ourselves. That's the habit with which we are born. That is the perception that we have of ourselves, that I am this body, therefore I am man, woman, tall, short, fair, dark. I am the mind, I am happy, unhappy. I am the intellect, I am bright, I am dull. I am sense organs, I see, I hear. We are born with this natural habit of identifying with this body, mind, sense complex. This is called ignorance. These notions that I entertain about myself, that I am so and so, itself reveals that there is ignorance in my life. I do not know who I am, or I take myself to be different from what I am. Something similar to an actor identifying with his costume and declaring, I am a beggar or I am a king. Just as some intoxication can do this to the actor, so also some intoxication called Maya or Avidya or ignorance makes me do this, and therefore there is a habitual identification. And therefore, habitually, I think that I am performing actions. That is the reason why I become now accountable for the results also. Therefore, I who took myself karta and the doer also becomes bhokta, experiencer. All of this is only at the level of belief or notion, not a reality. Even when I think that I am speaking, I does not speak. Speaking has many consequences. If I speak something sweet, then there are consequences. Speak something bitter, there are consequences. And you act as consequences, and I am accountable for them. The reality is that the I, the self, I never perform action. I just am. It is in my presence that all actions get performed. This is the reality. So what is knowledge? Knowledge is knowing the reality. What's the reality? That I am actionless. And all actions belong to non-self, to my costume. Actions do not belong to I. I am actionless. This is the reality of myself. Same topic is being discussed in the evening, which we elaborately discussed here last night. And will be continued this evening also. But anyway, so this knowledge that I am actionless, I am consciousness actionless, free from all attributes, free from all boundaries or limitations. That boundless, limitless, unqualified consciousness I am. Boundless, limitless, unqualified consciousness you are. And one boundless consciousness cannot be different from other boundless consciousness. Just as one boundless space cannot be different from another boundless space. Therefore, there are not many consciousness, there is one non-dual. I am non-dual, boundless, limitless self. That is reality about myself. I don't have to become that. I have to recognize that. Brahmaivahamasmiti aparoksha jnanena. Says Atma or conscious, aparoksha immediate, therefore knowledge also is immediate. Meaning that in this knowledge there is no agency or intermediary of the sense organs of mind, even today also. I know myself aparokshataya as immediately. If I ask you a question, are you there? Sometimes from within, somebody knocks at the door at night and says, who is there? I am there. How do you know you are there? Are you there? Yes. How do you know you are there? Why, I see myself, Swamiji. So you see your hand, therefore you say you are there? Suppose the pitch dark and you could not see your hands also, would you then say that you are there? No, then I know whether I am there or not. Do you need to do that? To pinch yourself? To verify that you are? One may need to pinch oneself to verify that I am awake. Sometimes I don't know, is it dream or is it real? But no pinching is necessary to establish that I am, because pinching also cannot take place unless I am. I should be there to pinch myself also. Meaning that I am is a very important thing. I am is a self-established fact. That I am does not require me to reveal or think, it reveals itself. Self-revealed, self-established fact, I am. That's all. All that is necessary is to know that I am. No, Swami, there is no fun in that. I am a doctor. No, that is something important. So I think that by adding a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer or a wealthy man or famous, that I am glorifying myself, am I not? Everybody is constantly attempting to glorify themselves by being such and such thing. Is it not so? But am I glorifying myself? Even if I say that I am a ruler of the whole universe, suppose that I claim, I am sovereign. Understand, sovereign also is for a period of time. Sovereign also did not exist before and will not exist later. Limited in time, limited in place, in ability. Meaning that by joining something to I am limiting I am, not glorifying I am. Unfortunately, I think that I am glorifying myself by becoming so and so and so. But in fact, by becoming so and so, I am only limiting myself. As I am limitless. Actionless. Why actionless? No need to perform action. Why do we need to perform action? Action becomes necessary when I want to achieve something, when I want to become something. But then, limitless, what can I achieve? I am already limitless. What can I become? Already boundless. Therefore, that I or I am does not require any achievement, does not require any becoming. It is whole and complete as it is. I am whole and complete as I am. Unfortunately, habitually, I join this stuff with I am and then make the I am limited. I am the body, I am the mind, I am so and so. So recognizing that this so and so does not belong to I am, it belongs to the body or the mind. Whether it is wealthy, famous, powerful, good, bad, indifferent, right, wrong, great, small, whatever it is, it all belongs to this upadhi. I'm self-sufficient, self-established, self-existing, limitless. So right now also I am is a self-revealing fact. Aparoksha means it's an immediate fact. I don't need to see myself or hear myself. I am is known aparokshata is an immediate reality. When I stop connecting things to I am, I just remain I am, then I am limitless. So by that knowledge that I am limitless, I am actionless, that I am free from need of any action. I don't need it to do anything. Without doing anything, I am complete. I am as I am is whole and complete. That I am being boundless is also the nature of happiness and wholeness. Recognizing myself as this is called aparoksha jnana. Brahmaevahamasmiti aparoksha jnanena. By the immediate knowledge of my true self. Nishilikan karma bandha vinamukti syat. I discover that I am actionless. Actions never touch me. Even in the past, when I thought that I was doing things, I realized that I did not do. I never do. I just am, and doing takes place in my presence. This knowledge releases me from all the bondage of action. Because who is bound by action? One who performs action. What is meant by bound by action is that I am accountable for the outcome of the action. That's called bondage. When I perform an action, I cannot get away from the consequences of the result of the action. That's called bondage. Meaning that by branding myself a karta or performer of action, I am joining myself with the result of the action, become bhokta. So one who performs action now, the karta, becomes the bhokta, experiencer of the result of the action. When you experience anything, then we react also with happiness or unhappiness. Some reaction is there. If that experience made me happy, then I want to retain that experience, I want to repeat that experience. So I perform an action to repeat that experience of happiness. If I feel unhappy, I want to avoid that or get rid of that. So unhappy I am, that also creates action of avoiding or getting rid of that. So this bhokta, sukhi I am happy or unhappy, that's the outcome of the action, then that again becomes the seed of another action. The experience of the result of action creates a reaction of happiness and unhappiness, which becomes the seed for a new action. Happy I am, I want to remain happy. I know that happiness wants to slip away from me, and I want to retain it. Like we love a little child and hold, and then that fellow wants to get away. Little thing doesn't want to be pressed, doesn't want to be confined. He is struggling. So happiness comes, and he wants to get away. Then I have to also strain myself to retain it. And some children don't go, the unhappiness doesn't want to go away. I have to get rid of it. A constant, poor human being, ignorance creates constant struggle. Brahmyohamasmiti aparoksha jnanena. By knowing that I am actionless, I am limitless, I am all right as I am. I don't want to become all right. I am all right as I am. All right means acceptable to myself. And that is most, the toughest thing is to become acceptable to myself. I am struggling hard in my life to show myself as something such and such, so that people will honor me, people will respect me, people will accept me. But behind all that struggle of being accepted by people, the primary struggle is to get accepted by myself. Since I have a problem with myself, therefore, if you say I am good, I think I must be good. I need validation from you to feel that I am all right, because I do not declare myself all right. So constantly my struggle is to appear as all right in your perception, and I die to try to be acceptable to you, respected by you. Anyway, all this struggle is because I think that I am a karta, I am a doer. And that makes me accountable for the result, become bhokta. Bhokta is sukhi or dukhi. Both sukhi and dukhi, both are problems. Oh, Swami, sukhi is good, I am happy is a good thing. Happy is a good thing. They said, then you want to retain the happiness. Happiness to just get away. And so there is a struggle in retaining happiness also. Struggle in avoiding unhappiness, struggle in retaining happiness, struggle constantly. By knowing that I am all right as I am, one becomes free from all this struggle. That's called freedom. Freedom from struggle. Not freedom from action. Action is no problem. Doing things is not a problem. Problem is with conflicts and struggles. Thus, this knowledge of the true nature of myself makes me recognize that I am fine as I am. And another beautiful thing in that recognition is, I find that you are also fine as you are. Not that I get liberated, everybody gets liberated in my eyes. When we are dreaming, if such an experience takes place in dream, when I wake up from dream, you also wake up. Is it not so? Are you still waiting? Swami has woken up. Now we are waiting for him to come back to dream. No, everybody gets woken up. So in the perception of wise person, all there is just freedom. Yes, he may, like Lord Krishna may, for the sake of Vyavahara, accept the limitation of Arjuna, sadness of Arjuna, and show him the way of how to become free from the sadness. Lord Krishna does not see Arjuna as sad. Lord Krishna's perception of Arjuna is quite different from Arjuna's own perception of himself. Arjuna's perception is, I am sad, I am guilty, I am hurt, I'll be a sinner, I'll go to hell. And what shall I do without all my near and dear ones? What's the use of this kingdom without them? He's grieving. Lord Krishna says, Asochana, hey, you are grieving for something that doesn't deserve to be grief. Meaning there is no cause for grief. Lord Krishna does not see Arjuna as a grieving person. Lord Krishna, Arjuna says, griefless Arjuna grieving. When he is griefless by nature, somehow imposes grief upon himself and is grieving. So there is no bondage, really speaking. It is not that we become free from a real bondage, we become free from only an imagined bondage. Just Arjuna becomes free from an imagined grief. So knowledge of actionless self enables me to see that I never perform action. And therefore, there is no question of my becoming karta or bhokta. I am ever free. So this is the freedom that Vedanta is teaching. That we are free. It's a matter of recognition. But as we discussed yesterday, this freedom of the wise person is described as freedom from the bondage of karma. Because one who performs karma is accountable for the outcome of karma, so that is called bondage, that karta has to become bhokta, and that's how karma binds him with the karma phala. Not karma, kartrutva. It is sense of doership that binds the self with karma. Otherwise, nothing can, is like Teflon, nothing can attach to Teflon, nothing can attach to self. The notion that I am karta makes me as though a karta, and then ties me with karma, which in turn becomes karma phala, ties me with karma. That's how the tying continues. Young small children in our town, there may be one or two cars in the whole town. So when somebody comes to our street, to meet somebody with a car, children are all excited. When the car wants to leave, then you hang on to it at the back and you run along with that, and then it becomes faster and they run. But then ultimately, so this is how you get, you also get dragged with that. So we are connected with this body, mind, kartrutva. So we get dragged with it. It's not our nature. And therefore, by the way, when there is some leisure of time, one way to meditate is this, that hey, grief is not my nature. Why am I grieving? Why am I sad? Why am I disappointed? Why am I unhappy? Why? Oh, Swami, this happened to my son. Nothing connects to Atma. Who am I? Oh, mother becomes sad. But I am not mother. Mother is the costume. Mother is the attribute of costume. So mother can become sad. Father can become sad. Son can become sad. Daughter can become sad. Friend can become sad. A citizen can become sad. A such and such can become sad. Atma, all this sadness belongs to the costume. The beggar can become sad. Actor doesn't have to become sad. Well, actor can become sad by saying that I am a beggar. So I can remind myself, these all belongs to a costume. Mother is the nature of costume. Father, costume. Brother, costume. Result of identification. So this is called liberation or freedom from bondage. So in reference to karma, this freedom is described, that is called freedom from the bondage of karma. It can be described differently, or freedom from sadness, you can say. freedom from limitation, freedom from unhappiness, freedom from cycle of birth and death. Different ways the same freedom can be described in different contexts. Depending upon what is bothering this person, you describe it in that context. If karma is this problem, in India we have a lot of complex about karma and karma bandhan, bondage of karma. So the freedom is described with reference to karma. Depending on the complex people may have. You can describe freedom in that way. So now as a academic discussion, when it said that nikhila karma bandha vinirmukti syat, vinirmukti, total mukti or freedom from all the karma. What is all this karma? Nikhila karma, all kinds of karma. How many kinds of karma are there? So the statement the teacher makes becomes a seed for a question of the student. And so this statement on the part of the teacher, the nikhila karma bandha vinirmukti syat, there is the vinirmukti, cessation once and for all from the bondage of all karma. So what is all karma? All kinds of karma. What kind of karma are there? So then the next passage says, the same page 41, karmani kati vidhani santi idi chet agami sanchita prarabdha bhedena trividhani santi. So nikhila karma bandha vinirmukti syat, that is freedom from bondage, all kinds of karma. Then the question is, karmani kati vidhani santi? Kati vidhani, of how many types? Karmani kati vidhani santi, of how many types of karma? Sir, you say that there is freedom of all kinds of bondage, karma, of all karma. What kind of karma is there? The teacher answers. So a question is asked, answer is given the same line. Idi chet, karmani kati vidhani santi idi chet. Kati vidhani is one word actually. So, how many types of karma are there? Idi chet, means if that is the question. If your question is, how many kinds of karmas are there? Then the answer is this. Agami, sanchita, prarabdha, bhedena, trividhani santi. Trividhani santi, threefold are the karma. So karma, how many types of karma are there? Three types of karma are there. So all the karmas are now divided in three types. Agami, prarabdha sanchita, prarabdha bhedena. Agamana means coming. So karma that are coming or karma that are going to produce result later or in future. Sanchita, karma that are all accumulated. Prarabdha, karma that have begun to give rise to their fruits. It will explain. But these three words you might want to remember. Agami karma, sanchita karma, prarabdha karma. So, when this is said, again question arises. So, next sentence is, agami karma kim. So, what is agami karma? Gam means to go, agam means to come. So, agami karma, karma that are going to come. So then the teacher explains, Jnanotpatti Anantaram Jnani Deha Kritam Punya Papa Rupam karma idasti tata agami iti abhidhiyate. Jnanotpatti anantara. Anantaram after. Jnanot utpatti means the taking place, creation. Jnanotpatti. After the knowledge has taken place. So now, for one jnani, for one person, we recognize two stages. A stage before the knowledge had taken place, and stage after the knowledge takes place. What is meant by knowledge here is the jnana nishtha or abidance in knowledge. When there is a full abidance in knowledge, that is when there is total freedom. When all the notions about the self are gone, all notions are habitual notions anyway. The identification of the body is habitual. And so as the body, so I am. So if the body is tall, I am tall, short, fair, dark, man, woman, father, mother, son, daughter. These are notions arising from identification of the body. Happy, unhappy, arising from the mind. Hungry, thirsty from the prana. Intelligent, bright, etc. from intellect. So from the different levels of my personality, the identification of the different levels of personality cause different notions about me. Each notion becomes responsible for performance of karma. A fair person also performs karma to remain fair. If fairness is something accepted in the society, if darkness is accepted, fair fellow would want to become dark. If fairness is accepted, dark person wants to become fair. Like who was that famous person? He always wanted to change. Michael Jackson. Or change his skin. I mean, it's crazy. He spent his whole life in that. He became so ugly in that process, I think. Anyway. What kind of notions people have? How they torture themselves. Is it not so? There was one actress in India also. Her name was Sri Vidya or something. Srimati? She died about a year or two ago in Dubai. Sri Devi. It is said that, I just know academically, it is said that she had performed, went through about 45 plastic surgeries. All kinds of plastic surgeries. She wanted to be perfectly beautiful, I guess. Whatever that is. We have nothing to say about them. They are all great people, whatever it is. This is just the result of the notion that I am the body and I am so and so. And the moment I call this body as I, there is going to be a complex, I am superior or inferior. You cannot avoid it because there is comparison. It is the nature of human mind to compare itself. That is another problem. The dogs and cats don't do that. A dog which has a special place with riding the car of the owner, sitting at the back and looking out. The street, and that fellow is well dressed and he's taken to their own beauticians. And what is this called? Grooming, manicure, pedicure. Yeah. So we think that the dog is so fortunate. Dog doesn't think so. Nor do the street dogs think that he is better. For our complex, we make this dog go through all this stuff, But Swami used to say that in a dog show, this dog is declared as the best dog, and then the owner very proudly takes him around. The dog is wondering what's going on. Doesn't know. All these complexes are unique things about human beings who compares himself with others and then creates a complex. A cow is no complex. So Puja Swamiji's standard example, a cow with beautiful shapely horn or a cow with ugly or broken horns, that poor other cow doesn't think I am inferior, I am ugly, and other cow doesn't think that I am beautiful. That is the problem with the owner of the cow. If these two cows fetch different money, it's not because the cows, they give the same amount of milk, but then it's our complex. No, my cow is beautiful, and that cow is not beautiful. Anyway, how much we are torturing. All I'm saying is how much we are torturing ourselves. So, to compare the nature of human mind, human mind. So, moment there is a complex, I'm so and so arising from identification, only comparison, then there is inferiority, superiority, all kinds of complexes will arise. This is what makes me perform karma. If I think I am superior to others, I must perform karma to remain superior. This woman is declared a Miss Universe. Means she is the most beautiful woman in the universe. Now she doesn't have to prove herself. So next day she need not make up her face. It was already declared. In fact, now if she was spending 3 hours a day for makeup, from tomorrow she will make 5 hours in makeup, because now she has to assure herself that I am most beautiful. So each of these complexes becomes a seed for performance of karma. And then I become accountable for the result of the karma. And that creates another karma. One plastic surgery. Oh, this one here. Third, fourth, 45 plastic surgeries. It must be crazy, but that's how it was. One karma, well, everybody has to die ultimately. It's not that she died because of plastic surgery. She died for whatever reason anyway. That everybody should die today or tomorrow. That is not the point. So therefore, we keep on performing karma. This is agami karma. Those karmas or actions which will bring about result later in future are called agami karma. We all perform that. The karma that we are performing presently, which will bring about the result in future, they are called agami karma. Sometimes kriyamana karma, karma being performed. No, it is not. Somehow here the agami karma is described with reference to a wise person. But everybody performs agami karma. Whatever karma we perform now are called agami. But since this discussion of the wise person, therefore the agami karma, wise person, are being talked about here. So jnanotpatyanantaram, after the dawn of knowledge, jnani dehe kritam punya pavrupam karma, as though it's an event, that before there was ignorance, and that we have discussed it's not an event, it's something that you grow into. Our Swami used to ask, when did you learn English? When did you learn English? 6 months ago? 5 years ago? You keep learning. You don't say that I learned English on a given time. It's a growing process. Anyway, suppose jnanotpatyanantaram, after the dawn of knowledge, jnani dehakritam. Now, the difference between the jnani and ajnani, a wise and otherwise person, the difference is the jnani or the wise person knows that I am actionless, that I do not perform any action. The otherwise person, otherwise means one not just ignorant, But one who wrongly knows otherwise thinks that I am performing action. So that I perform an action as a doer. Wise person does not, even when the wise person performs action, that notion that I am performer of action, that notion is not there. He remains a witness of the action, which is the nature of the self. He knows that action is being performed in my presence. I am the performer of action. I am the presence in which the action is being performed. So the passage says, Jnani deha kritam karma. Not Jnani kritam. Karma not performed by the wise person. Karma performed by the body of the wise person. Meaning, wise person knows that karma is performed at the level of body, not the level of self. This is the case with everybody. When we perform karma, they are performed only level of the body, gross body and subtle body. That fact has not changed for a wise person. What has changed is his perception that the karma, any action, sharirvang manobhiryat karma prarabhadenara nyayam va viparitam va. Karma is performed in the body, speech, mind. Karma is virtuous or vicious. Whatever action is performed, the ignorant person thinks I am performing action. The wise person sees that action is being performed by the body, by the gross and subtle body, by the costume, by the upadhi, in the presence of I. Therefore, in case of wise person, the text says, Jnani deha kritam karma, karma performed by the body of the wise person. If an otherwise person also, karma is only performed by body. But otherwise person thinks that I perform the karma. The wise person knows that I do not perform the karma, it is performed in my presence by this body, mind, sense complex. So text says, Jnani dehikritam. Dehikritam, performed by body. Punya papa rupam, karma can be classified in two categories, punya and papa. Virtuous and vicious, righteous and unrighteous. Swami, what is it? What makes the karma punya karma? What makes karma papa karma? So we said this, an action performed in keeping with the moral order will be called punya karma. An action performed in violation of the moral order is called papa karma. What is moral order? Moral order is very simple. I should not do unto others what I do not want them to do to me. Simple. And I should reach out to others the way I want them to reach out to me. I want you to tell me truth, not false. I want you to be honest, not cheat me. I want you to be non-violent, not hurt me. Some expectations of you, and I know that you also expect the same treatment from me. And therefore, to perform an action keeping with this basic law, that I should not do unto others what I do not want them to do to me, and I should reach out to others the way I want them to reach out to me. So reaching out action is called punya karma. Meaning when I speak truth, when I'm honest, when I'm kind, I'm compassionate, that's called punya karma. The opposite is the papa karma. A karma performed in violation of that order is papa karma or vicious action. And everybody winds up performing both kinds of actions. However careful you are, however, there are moments when you get angry, when you lose temper. And then you say something, then you regret later. So whenever we act as impelled by the impulse of anger or greed or jealousy or hatred, that action will be a violent action. The papa karma, virtuous, vicious action. And whenever I act according to my nature, I'm kind, compassionate, it's going to be punya karma, a virtuous action. And since nobody is free from these impulses, everybody at some point in time may become controlled by an impulse that arises. So may wind up doing something which is unbecoming. You can call it unbecoming action and becoming action. If you don't like punya papa. Our Swami didn't like those words, papa. Sin, he did not like the word sin. It's a technical word used by other people. So he avoided the word sin. The word sin creates complexity. That's what he thought. But you can call it papa. Papa. Punya. Therefore, everybody performs karma which can be classified as punya and papa. It is possible that for a given person there may be predominantly a punya karma and there may be some papa karma. There may be someone who is predominantly performs papa karma and then sometimes punya karma. And most people are the mixture of punya and papa. So he said Jnani also performs karma like this. We expect a Jnani to perform punya karma, but sometimes I guess he says papa karma rupa. Or to cover all karma, punya papa. Yadasti tat agamite abhidiyate. So therefore that karma which a wise person performs, which anybody performs, you and I also. The actions that you are performing now, which will give result in future, is called agami karma. Since this is the subject matter, the discussion is of the wise person, and the freedom from bondage of wise person, therefore it is described as the karma performed by wise person. But for anybody, karma that is performed presently which brings result in future is agami karma, so also for wise person. So agami karma, sanchita karma and prarabdha karma. Karma are the same, but they are categorized in these three categories depending on when they are performed. After knowledge, before knowledge, or in the past births. Accordingly, the karmas are categorized as agami, sanchita, prarabdha. So I think we will take a break here and continue our discussion again in future. We are talking about the freedom from the bondage of karma. So how many karmas are there and what is meant by freedom from? So nature of freedom from bondage is depending on the kind of karma. Therefore that freedom is described that way. Freedom from agami karma, freedom from sanchita karma, freedom from prarabdha karma. Okay. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamada Yapurnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Vadarayanam Sutrabhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmedi Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru